Show feel, move ahead strong. Touchdown, when I touchdown, better touchdown, I game on. Let's go. It's my time to shine, bright lights and it's lit. 10 toes down and a face full of grit. Take it to the house and we take it to the crib. Flip that in the script, red zone gone in.
Welcome, another episode of Red Zone Real Estate, and today we are going to talk about the foundations of a great real estate negotiation and closing that deal. Before we get into this material, like, subscribe, and share all of this value to everybody that you know. We're growing our channel. We're hopeful that you get value and that you share it. We grow ours too. Let's dive into this material.
Never let the fire turn to ashes, cashes. Gotta keep fighting like a savage, average. Never, I'm above that lavish.
Now, the biggest thing that agents fail most on not understanding is preparation. Now, we go by the 6 P's of life. That's proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. What does that mean? Unpack that a bit, Bruce. Okay. Well, what does it mean? It means preparation is key. When you see the difference of somebody prepared versus not prepared, it's very visually and analytically clear. Think about the last time that you were in a situation where you were interviewing 2 different candidates, whether it be for a home renovation, an accountant, business, real estate broker, who knows, and you saw the difference of the 2 that are prepared. One was prepared. They showed up on time, they had all the material in advance, they engaged, confirmed the times, scheduled calendar invites, and did everything that it takes to make that person say, wow, this person is a professional. Now, material was backed by data was backed by facts from the market. You are rock star and prepared. You showed up, it was a 10 a.m. appointment, it's 10 a.m. and I'm here for our appointment, ready to go. That sets a very powerful foundation for closing a deal, whether it's starting it off, engaging during the inspections process, or closing at the closing table. Why agents fail? When somebody's not prepared, let's take the other side of the coin. If that person shows up and does all of that, right, execution seems to be on point with getting to a closing table. And what if they don't? What if they don't send the calendar invite? What if they text back late? What if the email goes a day or 2 days, no response? What if the phone calls are muffled? You can't get them on the phone. They seem like they might be overseas. Are they on vacation? There's no communication. People are left to speculate. And if they speculate, oftentimes it goes against whatever we want to achieve, which is ultimately their trust and confidence to get a sale done. So that person that wasn't prepared, they showed up 15 minutes late, they blamed it on traffic, the dog, it's reasons or results, and you can't have both. So you didn't show up on time. They're looking at that going, look at these 2 people, big difference. Who would we hire? I guarantee you, you're not gonna hire the sloppy, lazy, unprepared person who didn't show up on time, calendar invite, no shows in every regard, with a text that said, I'm 15 minutes late, as you were 10 a.m. appointment was arrived and it was 10:01. If this is you, or if this is somebody that you know, get this out of the way right from the beginning, because that's why most people, the first appointment, 70+%, if that person's prepared, they get the job. Why agents fail? Proper preparation, first and foremost, not prepared.
Touchdown, better touchdown, I game on. Let's go. It's my time to shine, bright lights and it's lit.
Seller motivation, buyer motivation. When you zoom out of a transaction, literally zoom out, and you look at it as 2 different sides, buyer side, seller side, equal sign in the middle, you start realizing that everyone has different negotiations. Now, there's a black swan that is in every negotiation that you have to uncover. So good questions, great questions lead to that. One of my favorite books on that is Great Leaders Ask Great Questions by John Maxwell. It's one of my favorites. If you want to untap your potential of asking great questions, check out that book. Because when you look at that from a different perspective and you start understanding, well, they're moving, graduation is in the end of June, they need to get out, they're willing to sacrifice a little bit for that time frame, maybe it's in price or terms, the buyer has the excess time, maybe can close quicker. Things like that will oftentimes move the needle in the negotiation. Now, there's also one big one that I remember from years back when we had sold a property. Seller and buyer motivation was in alignment, and the property was sold for $50,000 below what the market was. And here's why. Seller was out of state. Seller was an estate holder, had inherited the property, was off and running in his own life, so far away. Had nothing to do with the property. But he found me online, knew that I was trusted, became an advocate of myself, and said, what do we do? He said, the property is really beat up. It needs a renovation. We've got to price accordingly. I think you can get this range. So we agreed on that. Now a buyer then came, saw that same vision, but also realized that the terms of this were much more significant for getting a price reduction. They can offer a very quick close with literal no terms associated with it. Now, seller was willing to reduce the price accordingly because of those terms that matched. He was getting his profit, it was in excess, it was an inheritance, he was willing to shave that off. That motivation led to a 30-day sale that buyer and seller agreed. $50,000 of equity built in, ultimately renovating and selling that property. A super happy seller at the other interim, and it's a win-win. So understand motivation. It's not always pricing, it's going to be motivation. Now, tap into that, you'll uncover what questions to ask by knowing what the answers are in advance. Framework and influence. Framework and influence oftentimes are affected by who's making the decision. When you're making a decision, especially in a baby boomer generation where a lot of sales are occurring now, it's important to understand who's affecting the decision maker and put a framework around it. Bruce, what do you mean by that? What's the framework? How do you talk about this? What I mean is literally, are there children associated with the baby boomer? Is health in order? Is competency in order? You oftentimes have to uncover these questions because what if it's not? Not really doing that great of a job in uncovering what the motivation is and how to help these individuals. So baby boomers often have children that are helping make decisions. Those children you have to convince just as much as the baby boomer. Now oftentimes you almost have to convince them even more. Why? Because they're making a decision for their family member who they love entirely, the one that grew them up. These decisions are huge. So put a framework around it. Who's the siblings? Who's the wife, husband? Who's the uncle? Who's in charge of this outside of the decision maker that's actually signing the contract? Those are huge. And if you understand those negotiation tactics, you can plug into them to ultimately get your goal realized by doing a great job and doing the right thing every single time. Now, oftentimes it comes to the fourth with foundations of a great real estate negotiation with literally silence, timing, and body language. Bruce, unpack that. What does that mean? Well, it means silence. When I receive the silent treatment, it makes me speculate. And when I speculate, oftentimes I'm wrong. They say that 80% of our thoughts are non-existent and don't happen. Why? Because we're speculating. Don't allow speculation to occur. So when silence happens, use it as a tactic, either for yourself or against it, because otherwise you speculate. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that if you're left hanging, it means maybe you want more, so you engage. So it's a great tactic to use if you're looking at getting an answer from somebody and they're pushing and pushing, and you're using silence as a tactic. It's a great negotiation strategy. When you see it against you, know that it's happening to you, and unpack that with your clients so that you can get to the bottom line, the foundational understanding, the motivation points. Okay? Now, timing's everything. What do we mean by that? Well, if it's the winter time and you're selling a property and there's less buyers and less sellers, maybe timing's on your side. A little bit more time to go through properties and see. Spring, ripping and roaring, over prices, immediate purchases, you better be ready to go, and it's like running onto the treadmill at top speed, ready to go. So if you're not prepared for that, make sure that your timing's off. You have a difference of where your market is. Advise your clients about that. Nothing's better than saying no to the client. They want it even more. Why? Because you're holding your ground and standing firm on what you know is right. And if you're teaching that and transferring that knowledge to them, they should trust you. And if they trust you, you're going to get more sales than somebody else. So it's a tactic that closes deals. Last but not least, the body language of what the individual is like. I know when I prospect, I'm making sure I'm smiling, I have a mirror in front of me, and I understand what my goals are. Now, you understand what your goals are through body language. It means that be a power player. Tony Robbins always says, stand upright and tall. Make sure that you're in your power position, because that ultimately transfers the energy that you're seeking. And I couldn't agree more. Think about a time when you're on the phone, not feeling good, this, that. The words I am are one of the biggest factors of your body language. Transform your identity into somebody that you are seeking to be immediately. You're going to start moving and acting like that. So that body language that you seek as a top broker, as a salesperson, or as a father, or as an individual in society is right there for your taking. Just go out and grab that. and make sure that it's now your identity. Those things are going to be huge. You close more deals because of these reasons. It's not for just wisdom, experience, or a great marketing campaign. It's the smallest details like this that affect and close those deals.